about a week ago. Every day this week, we've had an opportunity to speak to the different departments and semi-autonomous government agencies that have the honor of implementing this task to the different artists. And today, I'm privileged to have Dr. Kiprop Lagat, who I'll be speaking to a little later from the Department of Culture. And he'll be telling us about what that department will be doing. But first, I have with me a man that is no stranger to myself and to some of you. His name is Steven Derito. He's a photographer, he's a designer, a creative director, and the founder of Karakana Initiative. Steve, karibu.
Asante sana.
How are you?
Niko poa, I'm fine.
Uko fiti?
Yes.
All right. So Steve, thanks for coming. I wanted to have a conversation with you. You represent a category of visual arts.
Yes.
Tell me what that category is.
I think visual arts is quite broad, but it could commonly cut across things like photography. It could also go to stuff to do with visual communication design. There is things like graphic design. And anybody who uses even a form of the visual arts like painting and graffiti could still come under visual design because all this means that it's non-verbal communication. But most of it falls between photography and falls in between design. But we know that film is elsewhere, but all that is visual forms of art, and they are non-verbal. So it is quite a broad one because you find that there is also the mixed media. There's also the mixed media where you use different forms of all those kind of categories. And it is also a growing category, of course. A lot of young people taking them up in the creative space.
For the last several years, you've had this initiative,
yes,
Karakana Initiative, which is a place of knowledge sharing, of learning, mentorship and career guidance. But I think you've had like a focus on a certain, on developing creatives. Why is that? And tell me about the work of Karakana Initiative.
We come in as Karakana to fill in a gap, especially on learning and preparing young creatives for the marketplace. And we find that there are a lot of gaps in the academic learning and the system that we have currently. So we want to complement what is there learning in terms of the internet, what is being taught in the colleges and the universities. So we get a number of mentors who are experienced and well-versed on matters of the creative industry, and we hook them up, and we've done like a series, and we did most of them here, Karakana Dialogues, where we've got older, experienced creatives to meet younger, upcoming creatives and speak to them from a point of actual experience. And even now, right now, when we are under lockdown, we are developing an online learning platform for creatives.
Okay.
Because we want them to be able to access past Nairobi, across the counties, because when the creatives have real life experienced stories, then they will be ready for the marketplace so that they don't get surprised when they land the jobs.
All right, and you also have your own business, which is a...
Yes, Photomagic Studios.
Photomagic Studios. Talk to us about the business that you do.
Photomagic Studio does video and photography. So I think the correct term today is content creation.
Okay.
So we want to tell stories for our clients, for people, for individuals. We have a studio right here in Nairobi. So yeah, we do documentary work, we do advertisements, we do promotional videos, we do weddings, engagements. Let me say it's your usual photography studio, but then now we are shifting towards content creation because people want to hear stories, and I think Africa is not strange to stories, so that's what we are getting into mostly.
It's a good thing you say about storytelling because and creating content, because people ask me sometimes this art inatusaidia na nini?
Kweli.
Hii art yako, hii photography inatusaidia na nini?
I think for the longest time, first of all, it is through art that we are able to speak truth to power. We have a key role as artists on one important aspect of life, which is social justice.
Okay.
Look at Gado, look at Mado, look at cartoonists, for example. When they draw cartoons, they say what all of us want to say, but we fear. You know, we all know that that's what we want to tell those who are in power. That's what we want to tell those perhaps who we don't agree with. But they say it in a subtle but acceptable way. Of course, some have been accused of crossing the line, you know, especially with certain prominent religious figures. But we are able to address issues in a way that people can just absorb them in one glance. And you find that things like cartoons, you find things like photography, you find like when you design graphic posters that have strong messages about ivory trade or about child labor or gender violence, you're able to come up with issues, and in one glance, somebody is able to immerse themselves in the issues that are being discussed.
Wow, okay. So have you had an opportunity of working with the Department of Culture?
Well, from a distance, yes, we have interacted with the Department of Culture, with other people that I have worked with personally, not necessarily from the space or the people that I represent, even in the photography community so much. But I have worked on other projects, business-wise and as a consultant and as a creative designer, where we have been there either presenting a proposal, but even in my position as Karakana, we have just followed closely what they do. But we are very curious now. We are very curious now on how we can work together.
I think there's an opportunity for you to collaborate and to work together.
Yes.
And so my last question for you is, you know, as we implement this project, this stimulus program, what would you like to see done for your sector? Or what would you like to say to the Department of Culture?
Perhaps I can say this is a personal opinion, or maybe the constituency I represent. Remember, I also represent the Photographers Association of Kenya.
Okay.
I think we have enough messages on COVID-19. But COVID-19 comes with massive other issues that come up. We have seen a spike in gender violence issues.
Yes.
We have parents struggling to deal with children and homeschooling. We have a lot of financial strain on everybody across the strata. We have many issues that have come up. I would even want to ask, COVID-19 has not killed as many people as floods in this country. So within this pandemic, there is another set of problems that have come up. And floods are being ignored because we're just thinking about masks and PPEs. So for us, in the creative and the visual space, we would want the freedom to address those other issues.
Okay.
Because they will be with us after COVID. So we would want to address them and even have them go mashinani and reach to those people.
All right. Thank you very much, Stephen Derrito.
Asante.
I really appreciate your time. And if you ever need a great photographer, I actually recommend this one. You can find him online. How can people find you?
Our brand is photomagic.co.ke.
Photomagic.co.ke?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
and karakanaonline.org.
Okay, and karakanaonline.org. Thank you so much, Stephen Derrito.
Asante.
God bless you and stay safe.
Asante.
All right. If you're just joining us, my name is Amani Maranga, and I'm hosting you on Culture TV, talking about the 100 million stimulus program that His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta announced about a month and a half ago to cushion musicians, artists, and actors. In this stimulus program, several departments and semi-autonomous government agencies are implementing on behalf of the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Heritage, and we've been speaking to all of them this week. Today we do the last one, which is the Department of Culture, and the director, Lagat Kiprop, is here. We'll be talking to him in a little while, but with me, I have a man that you might know actually. His name is Aboksan Aila. Niaje?
Poa sana.
Karibu.
Thank you, Maze.
Welcome to Culture TV.
Asante sana.
Aboksan Aila, a comedian.
A comedian.
I hear musician.
Musician. Actor.
Okay.
Dancer. Event marketer.
Event marketer.
Event planner.
Yani wewe ndio creative economy.
Mimi ndio ule mse.
Wewe ndio, wakati watu na refer to creative economy, wanaweza badilisha weke jina Aboksan.
Ndio mimi sasa.
I hear you're domiciled in, are you domiciled in Nairobi ama in Kisumu?
Mimi niko Kisumu.
Kisumu City.
Maze, yeah.
Sasa utarudi Kisumu lini?
Maze, hii corona imefanya ile kitu. So you can't say, and then you can't break the rules because there's nobody who's above the law.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hata comedian. Hata kama wewe ni creative economy.
Maze, video hii tumenyenyekea Maze.
Tumenyenyekea so that we can contain the disease.
Yeah.
Lakini niambie, what has your journey been as an artist?
As an artist, according this 2020, ama
ulianzia wapi? Opportunity imetokea wapi buda ni show?
Opportunity ilitoka way back when I was still in Form 2. Yeah, that's when I first met.
When ndo ulikuwa unachikisha tu class?
Class, and then story na Churchill nini.
Ukaingia Churchill.
Ingia Churchill nikakutana na Big Ted. Yeye ndo alinipatia show yangu ya kwanza.
Wow.
Nikamwambia Mazee, nimetoka Kisumu, nataka kuchapa hii kitu. So akaniambia bana, umetoka wapi? Nikamwambia mimi nimetoka Kisumu. Nikamwambia bana, nini Nairobi? Jokes za Kisumu haziwezi fanya hapa.
I'm sure jokes za Kisumu zinaweza fanya Nairobi.
Zilifanya. So I started performing when I was back in Form 2. That's when I became so serious.
Okay.
In Form 2 I had my own company.
Oh, in Form 2 you had your own company?
Yeah, niliregister.
Inaitwaje?
Laughtermania.
Laughter?
Laughtermania Comedy.
Laughtermania Comedy.
Industry.
Yeah. Hey, wewe au kuregister company? Uliregister industry?
Industry to whereby nikaanza kuita wasanii wakubwa from Nairobi to Kisumu. So when we were talking on phone, walijua naongea na mtu mwingine mkubwa, then they come meet me wanaona but I'm in Form 2 by then. So sikuambia. So I'm in Form 2, nimeemploy watu job.
Wow.
Doing my shows, marketing them, promoting them. Wase wana come. Yeah.
Umesikia President ametoa do?
Mazee
100 million.
Mitaso. Mazee.
Stimulus program. What when you heard that, what did you feel? Ulisikiaje?
Wow, when I heard that, it's like the president anatufikiria, it's like the government has not neglected the artist. For the first time, nikaona Kenya artists are being thought of, not like other countries. Ukiangalia TZ, wow, they've been always supported. So he
hao ni wasafi.
Hao ni wasafi. Yeah, but now for Kenya, this to happen, I really felt appreciated as an artist. Like the government is really thinking of us for the first time. Yeah.
Very nice. The Department of Culture will actually be dealing with comedians. Yeah. What would you like to see? Ama unaweza kuambiaje Department of Culture when it comes to dealing with comedians?
Okay, Department of Culture, comedy is really difficult. So at least hapo inafaa pia watu unajua comedy is not like music. Labda utaiba the same song continuous events, but comedy unajua ukichapa joke leo umechapa leo huwezi rudia. Sema hiyo tunajua tupige ingine. So at least tupewe hiyo opportunity whereby at least to consider. Unajua tuwezi repeat my jokes pia, but yeah.
Unajua artists waambie waimbe, dancers tunaambia wa dance. Lakini mimi waambia it's an insult nikiuliza comedian, patie nichekeshe sahi. Hebu nichekeshe sahi.
Nataka nikuchekeshe.
Chekeshe.
Uko sure? Okay, just turn around to neighbor and tell your neighbor.
Ati? Turn around?
Yeah. And tell your neighbor.
Neighbor?
I love you by force.
I love you by force.
Yeah.
I love you by force.
Ndio hiyo sasa. Bashasa sido naambia mwanaume mwenzako what are you up to?
Sasa mimi sina neighbor mwingine. Well, neighbor, anyway. So I think the last thing I'd like you to do is maybe inspire young people. I like your story. From Form 2, you were able to do something for yourself and create an opportunity for yourself. And at least kujeke kwa map mahali hata unaweza kuwa noticed na watu wako kwa industry. What would you tell young people who are sitting at home, hawajui mali mbele ama nyuma, ama hawajui vile talent yake inaweza tumika? Ongea kwa ile kamera waambie what you'd like them to know.
Okay, what I would like them to know is that never give up in anything you do. Do what you like. Don't do what you're being told to do. As long as it makes you happy, you go do it. Unajua, like mimi, kwetu people are doctors, but I'm the only person who's a comedian. So I went the other line aside, which was really difficult, but I kept on doing what I was doing, asking guidance, talking to people, because it's not easy. So I also did my own research, whereby, kumbe I can stay here, and where I am right now, where the doctors are, I'm way much, okay, we are all important, but I'm different in a certain way. Kuna kitu naweza fanya daktari hawezi fanya. Na kuna kitu daktari yeye ufanye yenye siwezi fanya, unacheki. Because mine is inbuilt. Sikuisomea. I was given. So if you have a talent, keep on pushing, keep on doing, because do you. Yeah.
That is a boxer, Ayla. He is an artist, comedian.
Sorry, sir. We need to ask him about what it means to the people of Mashinani, please.
He's an artist, he's a comedian. He is a musician.
Yeah.
A boxer, you come from Kisumu and you say, that's why you've grown your talent.
Yeah.
What do you think this means for watu wa mashinani?
Okay, this means for the government and culture department to come with this program. To be honest, I'm really impressed. That's the way I said it, Like now, usanii unalipa. You see now? That's when now I believe art pays. So nobody can say that art does not pay. Yeah, that's all I can say. Like, if we can continue like this, then I'm sure Kenya, we can be very far in the next 5 years to come from now. That is the life of an artist, Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. It's good. Thank you for talking to us. We look forward to seeing more of your content. We look forward to seeing your collaboration as well. In a very short while, I'll be talking to Dr. Kiprop Lagat, and he'll be telling us about what the Department of Culture will be doing and how they'll be implementing this 100 million stimulus program. It's a wonderful day because we have all sorts of arts represented here today. My name is Amani Maranga, and with me I have a man who has probably over 20, actually 20-something years, close to 30 years. If you think about Romeo and Juliet in 1996, and this is the year 2020, that's 24 years at least, eh?
Almost, yeah.
Almost 25 years
Yeah.
of being in the industry as an actor, as a comedian, well, as a special projects person in the comedy industry. You've worked in corporate affairs. You've been a digital strategist. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me, Mr. Ken Waudo. Karibu.
Asante sana.
How are you doing? I was waiting for applause, but there's no real audience in the studio.
Yeah.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well, sir. I'm very well.
It's good to see you after a long time.
Yes, it is good to see each other, especially after the corona thing.
Yes, and to, I think we've always just been crossing paths on the digital space and not quite in person. But Ken, talk to me a little about your career, about just how you've developed a career in the arts, in comedy, in stage play. Let's talk about that.
Okay. My strong basis is on the theater. Theater is a performing art as well. We used to do a lot of comedy theater, and that gave birth to a lot of comedians that are currently rumbling the scene, including Churchill, Jalango, you name them, Jambane, KJ. So my strong basis was on theater, comedy theater, and it eventually developed into now the comedy itself as a genre in the performing arts. And unfortunately, I was thrown into the biggest muddle. I now chair the Comedians in Kenya Society.
You are the chairman of the Comedians in Kenya Society.
Yes.
How do you choose, how do you choose the chairman of the Comedian Society in Kenya? Do you look for the funniest person in the group?
I don't think they did, because if it was the funniest person, then I'm the last one in that list.
No, I'm just joking. But
I think they chose the most serious one. But anyway, the Comedian Society in Kenya was established in 2018.
Okay.
Yes, and we have got strong membership. We've got about over 200 comedians.
Wow.
In the country, the whole country. So at one time, I think the Kenya Cultural Center, which supported us at the initial stages, used to give us our meeting spaces. So when we did our first AGM there, I was trusted into being the first chairman.
Okay.
We have a rating of office. I don't know if some of them are here, but of course, given what is happening, none would come. So that's why I represent them. But we have got, the national office has got managing committee that has got regional representatives from all over the country.
Okay.
So we have somebody who represents the comedians in Mombasa, somebody who represents in Northeastern, in Western and Nyanza, in Nakuru, in Central, almost all regions, not 47 counties.
Yeah, but the regions of the country are covered. In fact, now I'm just curious, which region has the most comedians? Which region has the most number of?
By default, that has to be the capital city, Nairobi, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just looking for which is the funniest region. So it must be Nairobi.
It must be Nairobi, because of the skyscrapers.
Yes.
Everybody comes here, and of course, there's more fun here.
You've been working for the laugh industry, and you've worked with Churchill for a long time. You've worked hard in developing talent. Talk to me about the industry, the comedy industry. And tell me, what do you feel is its role in the nation, especially in a time like this?
Comedy is quite essential. I think in terms of entertainment circles,
yes,
comedy is at par with music. When you listen to music, when you feel sad, you either choose to listen to music and comedy. Comedy gives the best option because you laugh your problems away, you laugh all your situations away. And that has been the role of comedy ever since. I think when we even started with theater, we started it in the 90s, when everything was so gloomy. And somehow it was picked up very strongly because people want to be happy. People want to feel happy. And fortunately or unfortunately, comedy has played that role. Also in social matters, in terms of pointing out some society norms, some behavior, some cultures that we are having, or whether they are good or bad, comedy has played a very nice role as a catalyst towards, that conversation. Is this good or is this bad? Is this right? Is it not right? In a easy way. Yeah, so
In a palatable way.
yes, in a palatable way. So it has played quite a big role. Maybe one day, one comedian might be a political leader. The president.
We have a few already.
Yes.
We have a few already.
Yeah. Given the change that we are making in the society.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, we've seen some few funny people.
Yes.
And funny statements made as well. But what was the reaction of the industry, of the comedy industry, when you heard about the stimulus program?
It was a very much welcome move. I think the response, especially from the members, was quite overwhelming. From the stimulus program is when now we came to, learn the magnitude of the problem. That's the comedians solely dependent. They act on an audience. So there's no audience and there's no movement. And most of the time, comedy is done in the wee hours. It begins from 6 onwards. So the curfew, as well as the social distancing, as well as even curtailing the events per se, now that became a huge challenge. So they were suffering in silence. When the stimulus package came in, they would all jump in, and they thought that the money would be given tomorrow, the day after the president made the announcement. And they were quite ambitious, and they were quite ready to do what it could do. I think it has been quite a hard time controlling that government in its own being has processes. And luckily enough, what is happening right now is part of the process. Because ever since the president made the announcement, up to now, we're still in the process. So I keep telling them, government is not like me and you. When you say, I'll give you money, then I go to my pocket and I remove it and I give you. That's very practical. But for government, because it's public and it's public funds, there must be a process.
I was hoping that you'd actually give me money, as you said it.
Wait until I make the statements.
Okay.
Yeah, so it has been quite a very good response. My opinion as the chair would be, maybe, I'm not complaining, but I'm saying it might be a little amount, given that it is meant for the whole industry, not just comedians, but the whole industry per se. The musicians, the designers, everyone on the bandwagon. But you see, this happening for the first time in the country, we, as the creatives, must embrace it, must support it, because you never know. They have just started with something, and maybe in the course of the year or next year, the president will give us a whole bunch of the budget. If we behave with this very well, if we respond very good, if we take it in a very positive note, which is what we are doing as the leadership.
Which makes me then, it leads me to the next question. When it comes to this particular season that we're in, this particular COVID period, the fact that there's not going to be audiences, how do you think we can use comedy to help people to stay together at home, help people, take charge of their own safety and as per the guidelines of the Ministry of Health, and as well as, just keep the country sane in a sense. What do you think that role would look like for from the comedian?
Okay, already I think they have made a headway, actually, as we speak. They have tried to gang up, use technology. Technology seems inevitable as a solution. YouTube, social media, and so on and so forth. That's what they have been using, albeit the challenges that they are facing. And I think that would be the only viable way that will happen. If, for example, at one time they open up an edifice like the National Theatre, of course with so many guidelines, because if the hotels have been allowed to operate with strict guidelines, therefore we want to imagine spaces like the National Theatre can also follow those guidelines. I think our audience are sober enough to understand that, yes, they want to laugh, but they also have to consider the part of safety. And if the directive says that we open the National Theatre and we observe as much as possible the social distancing, that would be also an ideal a space, not only the National Theatre, but any national spaces that can be easily be regulated. But I see from where I sit, the most viable way is through online. And for that, we also endorse and happy to say that we like the idea for Culture TV, that this might be a very huge space in the coming years, and it is good that the crisis came, just like Winston Churchill says, that don't let a good crisis go to waste. So this is a good crisis, and hence something like Culture TV came into the fore. So we are very keen not to just use it during the COVID-19 scenario, but hopefully in the years to come that this will be a very nice channel to ultimately be a space for us to showcase.
Lastly, what would you like the department to do specifically for the comedians? As we start to discuss, and we'll be talking to the director in a few minutes, what would you like him to consider?
Well, I'll just say that the government has been quite supportive. If I speak from a comedy perspective, because you see a lot of national functions have our members gracing it.
Yes.
And initially, this was not the case, but it has been happening and happening and happening quite a lot. And we thank that for the department for that. From where I sit, especially as the chair of the comedians in Kenya, I would love to have members, even in Mandera, whoever is doing comedy anywhere in this country, be part of the membership. We have quite a lot of challenges in terms of the resources. We don't have maybe the manpower that the Department of Culture has. You know, Department of Culture, I think, has a representative in all the regions. We would wish to have a strong collaboration with the Department of Culture to see that our membership rises beyond the scales of just being confined in the city of Nairobi. Also, other than that resource, we would also love to have a kind of program that now ensures that the comedians that are already there can be able to be sustained. Yeah, you see, can be able to be sustained for the longest time, not just for a specific period or just to wait for national functions or to wait for special occasions, but they could be sustained throughout. We could be having, and I propose this to the Department of Culture, that every other month or every other period of time that we can agree on, that we have a showcase that just looks at the development of comedians. That here are the established ones, and here are the upcoming ones. Because we realized comedy as an industry is a huge employer. It's a huge employer, and it took COVID-19 for the world to see that comedy in this country is at a great level, given what is happening online, with social media. Now, new talents are being discovered. Finally, they're being given recognition that they own some entertainment space in this country. We would love to see that grow into scales.
All right.
And also that we have a huge stake in the Culture TV, that we have a specific slot just for comedy within the Culture TV format.
I like that. In fact, I'm going to take responsibility for that and ensure that we actually give, a slot and some time for content that comes from the comedians.
Yes.
I was going to ask, what level of jokes determine whether one is an upcoming comedian or an established one. But because that's a joke in itself, I think I'm an upcoming comedian. Now, how do I register as a comedian in the association? I'm listening to you, and I didn't know. I'm in Mashinani. I've been doing my own little comedy, and now I want to be part of the national association. How do I register? How can they find you?
Currently, we are domiciled at the National Theatre.
Right.
I think if you meet the management of National Theatre, because we always have left our communication with them, you could be able to easily find where we are or who we are.
Is there an email address that someone can send some information?
Yes.
Or some social media assets?
Yes, there is an email, tapschair@gmail.com or tapssecretary. No, not taps, sorry. comedianske.
Comedianske
@gmail.
@gmail.com.
Yes.
So comedianske@gmail.com.
Yes.
If you'd like to register or get more information, they get in touch with them, and they will also get it back in touch.
Also, you can just contact the senior comedians, all of them.
Okay.
Ask one of them or two of them, ask them, how can I join? They'll be able to direct you.
All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. The man who works.
Sorry, I needed to also point out
Yes, sir.
that within the coffers of the comedians in Kenyan society, there are what we call senior comedians. Sorry, we have not reached the level of the law society of Kenya that we have senior lawyers and senior comedians. But there are some, because of either the experience or exposure, are a bit senior than others.
Yes.
These ones who are on top have been quite supportive to the ones who have been at the bottom, and they have endorsed so much of what is happening. And I know they are part of the bigger picture as well. And even some of them have said, let the upcoming ones take the whole chunk of this opportunity and platform.
Oh, fantastic.
So that we are there to, as much as possible, give them support.
That's very good to hear.
Yes.
And thank you to those senior comedians with the most senior jokes. And here is the chairman of the Comedy Association.
Comedians in Kenya.
Comedians in Kenya, Bwana Ken Waudo, the man who works for Churchill and quotes Winston Churchill. We'll be right back with the director, Lagat. Thank you so much for your time. Sorry to keep you waiting, director, but we'll be right back with him, having engaged with the industry to tell us what the program of the Department of Culture will be in a very short while. Don't go away. All right, welcome back to Culture TV. My name is Amani Maranga. We have been speaking to heads of different government agencies and departments this week that will be implementing the 100 million stimulus program that the CS of Sports, Culture and Heritage, Amina Mohammed, launched on Monday after an executive order that was made by His Excellency the President about a month and a half ago. Today is the last of these departments. We will be interviewing Dr. Kiprop Lagat, who's an anthropologist. He is a director in the Department of Culture, and we are very honored to have this mind in our country working for the government and sitting with me today to explain what the Department of Culture will be doing and how they'll be implementing their part of this 100 million Kenya shillings stimulus. Dr. Kiprop, karibu.
Asante sana.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're well?
I'm well.
All right. Dr. Kiprop Lagat, people might not really know you. You know, I don't think you have a lot of interface with the public. So let's talk a little about your background as a person and your background in the Department of Culture. Who is Dr. Kiprop Lagat?
Thank you, Amani. Dr. Kiprop Lagat is a Kenyan anthropologist.
Okay.
Did his first degree at the University of Nairobi in the 90s. I have also done a master's degree in museology.
In?
Museology.
Museology.
Museology or museum studies.
Museum studies is called museology.
It's called museology.
I hope you have learned that, my friend.
From the University of East Anglia in the UK.
Okay.
Where I went back again to do a PhD in anthropology.
Okay.
And my area of interest was using or exploring how performing art and visual art play a role in trauma memory healing. And perhaps this is very important to the current discussion because during this period of the COVID-19, there are various Kenyans, there are various people all over the world who've been seriously affected by the pandemic. There are people who've seen their loved ones get breathing difficulties to death. There are others who are nursing, who have sick people in quarantine. And the idea of even being at home over long periods of time without getting out, I think that in itself causes psychological trauma. There are families that have never stayed together, and you bring them together at such a period. It has definitely created some family disability. There are cases, the increased cases of incest, fights, murder. So I think using visual and performing art is one of the ways of addressing some of those challenges. And therefore, I think we are very happy to be part of this initiative. And as a department, we are implementing two aspects, using comedy and visual art.
I don't think people have understood what you've just said, that you think that visual arts and your research is around visual arts and its role in healing trauma.
Yes.
You also, there's something about the memorization of the country in terms of trauma and in terms of, you know, collective trauma like this.
You see, when a tragedy happens,
Yes.
or when some difficult situation occurs,
Yes.
People are affected in different ways.
Yes.
If, for instance, your relative was a victim of the 1998 bombing of the US Embassy, or if you happen to have been around that area, any other time you hear a loud bang, your memory will be triggered to that.
Yes, yes.
And it may affect your subconscious mind for a very long period of time. However, through the use of visual art, through the use of performing art, and the frequency of using that, then your memory is able to process that. It is able to transact it and make you understand that this was an external stimuli that can be processed by your mind, and therefore provide you with healing.
Hey. Dr. Kiprop, Lagat, I have learned enough for the day. I feel like this is a masterclass in both psychology and anthropology in a sense. And I also learned about museology, which I didn't even know. What made you interested in anthropology? What was your driving force? What was your interest?
I'll admit that when I was invited to join the university and told that you're going to do anthropology, it also sounded very strange to me. Jokes were made, it's about insects, anthropods, all kinds of jokes. But the moment I landed in my first anthropology class, and we were taken through how cultures, the logic behind cultures and how cultures function in society, that was very fascinating. And from there, I did a course called Material Culture. If you look at artifacts, in each artifact is embedded very interesting stories that reveal to you so much about the society. And it is through this engagement with artifacts that my deep interest in matters culture was developed.
You know, every time I've had a head of either a department or head of a state agency that is implementing this program, I've been fascinated by the people that are leading these departments and their depth of interest and knowledge. And this is, I mean, I'd love to have a whole new conversation with you, maybe we'll have opportunities to do that with Culture TV later, to just dig into that section of how you became this, this interested in culture. But I feel very confident about now discussing your department, the Department of Culture that you had in the ministry. Tell me about its mandate.
I'll start by saying what we aspire to do.
Okay.
As a department, we seek to create a vibrant and cohesive Kenyan society, utilizing its art and culture for the attainment of sustainable development. How do we do this? We are mainly tasked with three key areas: performing art, visual art, and literary art.
Okay.
Our core mandate or activities are in the areas of coordinating the development and implementation of national policy on culture and heritage. And it is important that I start with the issue of the national policy on culture heritage, because policy normally precedes other legislative frameworks, especially acts of parliament and the creation of institutions. And the importance of this is, especially for this particular talk, is we have also processed a culture bill. It is quite advanced. It's actually within the presence of the AG. And this bill will create a National Arts and Culture Council. And therefore, the National Arts and Culture Council will serve the industry by coordinating activities pertaining to art and culture in this country.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's one of the first key issues that we coordinate. Secondly, we are tasked with the development and promotion of the culture and creative industries in this country, whereas culture, the management of culture has been devolved to the counties. The national government still has a very important function of dealing with matters culture at the national level. Our third key area of priority is empowering artists through capacity building. And this we do for a whole range of creatives. It actually cuts across the entire sector. And I think on an annual basis, we do about 18 to 2,100 artists who benefit from our programs.
Wow.
The other fourth area that I may want to talk of is that we also coordinate international cultural exchanges on matters culture. And through this, we've been able to facilitate the participation of Kenyan artists and creatives in different events all over the world. And I think that way Kenyan art and Kenyan culture has gotten a platform internationally. I think once we go to the successes, I'll be able to take you through or just mention a few places where we've taken our art. Then perhaps finally is we also manage and implement 2 UNESCO conventions. The first convention is the 2003 Convention for the Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage, which also touches on artists, because if you are a performer, if you are a storyteller, those are things we consider as intangible heritage. And the last one that is also domiciled in my department, and we are implementing it, is the 2005 UNESCO Convention for the Promotion of the Diversity of Cultural Expressions, which is very central to the work that creatives do. And on an annual basis, we engage with the creatives. And currently, or before the pandemic set out, we were in the last stages of crafting our third quadrennial periodic reporting, which is done to UNESCO after every 4 years. And Kenya has done exceptionally well, because we are among the countries in this region that have never faltered in submitting those reports. And I want to say that the Kenyan creatives have also been very supportive in this process, because they have unflinchingly supported us and given us information on what they have done to enable reporting to UNESCO.
Wow. Wow. First, again, this is such a learning experience, because I didn't know there's so much work that the department is doing. The thought that has gone through it, you know, when you talk about the UNESCO conventions, it doesn't seem, we don't think that culture and heritage is that important to government. And now, you know, I'm starting to see a lot of that. As you respond to that, I want to give you permission to go straight into some of the things that you've done successfully, some of your success stories that you'd like to share with us.
Well, I think, let me start with I'd mentioned the National Policy on Culture and Heritage. I know this is something that has been in the works for many years. Kenyan cultural and creative industry players have, at some point, were very frustrated. I think that's the best word to use, because it's taken years for this policy to pass through the government processes. But I can proudly report that it has been taken through the National Development Technical Implementation Committee of PSS. It has gone through the National Development Technical Implementation Committee of the cabinet, and it is now being taken for cabinet approval. So I think it is quite advanced. I don't see any reverse gears there. So that to me is an achievement.
Wow.
The second achievement is in terms of our capacity building programs. I'd initially alluded that on an
1,800 to about
2,100
artists.
2,100
Yes.
per year. So that is also significant.
Yes.
And yeah, when I talk of capacity building and empowering artists, even for them for those who fall under the 2005 UNESCO Convention, for instance, they are able to know that UNESCO or that convention has a fund. It's called the International Fund for Cultural Diversity, which they can apply to enable them do their work. And this week alone, I have received 2 applications or 2 inquiries. One is it may not be important for me to mention the institutions. One is by an NGO, an international NGO. I think I've looked at it and I've endorsed it, so it's on its way to the IFCD. Narok County has also approached us. They have a proposal they want us to endorse. So that shows you that the capacity building sessions that we've had have actually been very impactful, because it has created opportunities for Kenyan creatives to explore where funding opportunities are. I continue?
Yeah, one more. One more. I mean, clearly you've been doing a lot, but let's talk, maybe we can weave into this conversation. One of the questions that I'm wondering is the people that you are representing when it comes to this 100 million. We've talked generally about the creative economy, we've talked about culture, we've talked about, but who now sits in the category that you will be working with for this particular stimulus program?
Okay, for this particular initiative, I will be facilitating the implementation of the stimulus package for comedians. That's the first category. The second category...
So comedians are covered?
Comedians are covered. The second category are visual artists.
Okay.
I know visual art is very broad.
Yes.
I know the National Museums of Kenya was here the other day.
Yes, yes.
And the difference between what they're implementing and what we are doing is that NMK is doing mural art.
Yes.
Murals, or mural art, is art that is done on a wall. The Department of Culture does the rest of the visual art.
Okay.
We have paintings. We have we are taking care of photographers. We are taking care of ceramics.
Okay.
We are taking care of cartoonists. We are taking care of fashion and design. We are taking care of mixed media. We are taking care of handicrafts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What else? I think those are the major ones. And I think I've recently been told that there's a hairstyle that is called Corona. So that means that even fashion and hair art is something that we will be able to take care of.
So how do you plan to implement, I mean, what is the plan that you have in place for the implementation of this stimulus program?
We will be sending a call out for application. And there's a communication team that is working very closely with us. We've been in communication even this morning, and we hope that this call will go out maybe latest by Monday. We've also, and this is something that we've already done, because we know that a lot of artists operate in the counties. We've also written to the Council of Governors, through which they'll be able to reach the counties. We also have our own network of county directors of culture, whom we will be sharing this letter with. We just wanted it to go to the governors first before the next level. So that way we'll be reaching out to artists, to visual artists and comedians throughout the country. Associations are also very, very important.
Yes.
Ken Waudo was here a few minutes before me, and the Comedians Association has over 200 members spread throughout the country. So if we reach out to them to channel the call, then I'm actually persuaded that we'll reach out to comedians throughout the country. We also have the Photographers Association, we have the Kenya Fashion Council, we have the Kenya National Visual Arts Association. These are associations that will help us reach out. But besides that, we have Culture TV. This is an important resource that will be very instrumental in passing out that message. We have other social and digital media platforms that we will also use. As a department, we also have our own Facebook and Twitter handles and WhatsApps. So we also intend to utilize all those to ensure that we have a wider reach.
What's the reach you're looking for? What, in terms of your scope, all these artists combined, how many lives do you hope to touch through your department directly?
Directly, it will be 1,800. But the 1,800 that we are targeting also have people and families that they are supporting.
On, yes.
So if you multiply that by 3.9 as per the statistics of the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics.
The Kenya National Bureau of Statistics.
Yes, yeah, then that means that that will be 1,800 times 4, so about 7,000.
Yeah, it's about 7,000 and something. Yeah, that's not a bad number. Tell me, what kind of content do you hope these people will put out? You know, it's a stimulus program. What kind of content do you hope to see, and what's the impact you hope that it will have?
The first one is through their work. We hope to see productions and submissions reinforcing the government and World Health Organization's recommendations on how to contain the pandemic, keeping distance, washing hands, avoiding hugs, among other things. Then there is perhaps productions and artworks that target behavior change. There are certain things that we can't continue doing, and so we also hope to see works directed towards that. Then messages and artworks of inspiration, of empathy, of celebrating Kenya's resilience. And some of these works don't have to be specifically or directly addressing COVID-19, because some of the works that are likely to come out, especially works of inspiration, these are things that could be relevant and become applicable to any other situation that we could face as a country.
So in response to Stephen Derito's question, where he was asking for creative license for the artists to be able to go wide with their messaging, you're saying that creative license is there from your department?
Yes, that is there.
Okay. One of the questions I've been asking is, you stimulate these artists in a sense, give them this package that allows them to put out works of art, you maybe do some capacity building, they go out, put out valuable work, and then what?
I believe that won't be the end. Let me use the example of visual artists, for instance.
Yes.
And after submitting the works, we hope to, at the end of it all, we hope to have that curated and put up an exhibition on COVID-19, which can have various sub-themes, including inspiration, celebrating Kenya's resilience. Part of the works could actually be sold during the tenure of the exhibition. So that will actually add value. And when we participate in international expo and exchange programs, we also hope some of those works could be included. For the comedians, I think Waudo alluded to some of the things that are likely to happen. That won't be an end in itself. If they are churned out through the social media platforms, Culture TV, I want to believe that with advertising, it will be possible for those works to gain traction and earn an extra income that will go to the artists.
All right. We started this journey on Monday with CS Ambassador Amina Mohammed, and every day since, I have asked this question to everyone that has sat on that chair. This question is asked every day on social media. Hii pesa inakuja lini?
The approval was granted. Government processes are there, but the money is available.
Okay.
But on the other hand, I want to assure you that since no works have been submitted up to this point, there is the process of you submitting your work. That work undergoing some either a selection criteria, a peer review, that will also take a few days. So that means, to me, I really wouldn't be worried at this stage because the works are yet to be submitted. And even after submission, perhaps the panel that will be reviewing them and validating them, for my case, for instance, they will be sitting maybe once a week, approve and have the money disbursed. For others like National Museums of Kenya, because I heard what they said, the mural artists have to develop a concept, submit the concept to the museum.
Yes.
It is validated.
Yes.
It is approved. So these are processes that could take time. So just be assured that the money is there. As soon as we start receiving the artworks, having them validated, approved, the money will be available.
And so maybe the message to the artists is use this time to put your art together, put your proposals together, your demos or whatever it is.
Precisely.
Okay. How do they reach you? You know, you'll send out a call out, but you know, if I wanted to start looking for some information, how do I reach you?
We have social media handles. Our Twitter handle is culturedepth _KE. On Facebook, it is Department of Culture. For submission of works, it is submissions.culture@sportsheritage.go.ke. Besides that, we have the ministry's website, which could also be used. And the communication team also has a number of instruments that it will be utilizing, of which we can be reached through that, because we are part of that ecosystem.
Last but not least, and then we'll open up for a few questions. Dr. Kiprop Lagat, I think, you know, I'm in awe of the person that you are and the work that you've done in the arts and, you know, in healing especially. I think for me that is a personal, you know, menigusa mahali. And I like that the fact that when you entered in your first anthropology class, it was not something you chose, but as you got into that space, it became fascinating and has built a career for you. I'm just wondering, what conversation would you have with young people in this country? People who find themselves sometimes in positions they haven't chosen, or people who are looking to the arts and to the department for a way to figure out their career in the arts. That is your camera right there. Talk to them. Give some inspiration to the nation.
I think this especially goes out to the youth in this country. I think if you find yourself in a career that may not have been of your choice, just do your best, explore the positives in it, and you can climb the ladders to the top. Then for the cultural and creative industry sector, from where I sit, I see immense opportunities that young people can seize, perfect them, and you can become the Wangeshi Mutus of this world. You can become the Peterson Kamwadis in visual art. You can become the Churchills. You can become MC Trickies. And there is money in the industry, and this is an industry that can put food on your table and ensure that you have a better livelihood than what you are currently enjoying.
Wow. Thank you very much, Bwana Lagat. Very appreciative of this conversation. Thank you for sharing your plans and your programs. And as he has said, You can check them out on social media, and we will post those handles for you on Culture TV social media as well, so that you can get in touch with them. Now, if you'll indulge me, I want to take a couple of questions from the floor. We have a few industry players here, and we can respond to a few questions, after which we will let you go. So, okay, I have a question here. I think that's from, please introduce yourself. I think that I can't see very well, but that should be Ken Waudo. So just go ahead and ask your question.
My name is Ken Waudo. Thank you so much, Director, for your offering. We are at least cognizant. Is that the word?
You've been recognized.
Yes, tunashukuru sana.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to ask us some technical questions. One of them being, one, Culture TV is here. After 3 months, is Culture TV happening? That one, I will couple it with another question or solution from the Comedian Society in Kenya. That we are proposing to be given 3 hours a day in the Culture TV. 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, 1 hour in the evening. Because we have content and it is spilling over. It has nowhere to be put. And Culture TV seems to be a very good avenue for that. So we're asking, apart from the 3 months window, beyond that, we are ready to take that. And I'm also asking, beyond that, what happens? And also answering from our end, as a selfish concern, that we are ready also to take that opportunity beyond that. Then secondly, that within the coffers of culture, you see, government as an institution, once it puts you into their cognition map, then any other person in this country says that you are one of them. So we are requesting that since we have all the national days, we have all the occasions and everything that we do in this country, that you have within your Department of Culture to employ some comedians. Let their title be comedians and MCs. So that within is it the treasury or whoever gives titles to positions, they can now say in the employer's task sheet, there's somebody called a comedian who needs to be paid from the public. And hence, that big recognition. So that when these other departments, when the Department of Trade, when the SGR is being launched, when the president is sad at State House and he needs to feel funny, we have people employed called comedians. Not just individuals plucked from a society of entertainers, but we have people employed by the government called comedians. So that it gives us even a huge mileage. I want to take advantage of this scenario to propose that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Such good questions, and maybe let me add a thought to it. Mm-hmm. You know, as I think when you think about careers, mm-hmm. you think about you know, there are those traditional careers you think about, and what Ken is proposing is interesting because there's a certain type of recognition that if it happened in government, then would create, you know, a career opportunity. Mm-hmm. You know, for chance, if one day, you know, a comedian is on the payroll of the government as a comedian, then it's the recognition of the career, of the profession becomes a truth. I don't know, you know, I'm happy to hear your thoughts, then we'll take another question.
Okay, I'll start with the last question. As a matter of fact, the Department of Culture has comedians in its payroll. They are civil servants and they are comedians.
Wow.
However, the only unfortunate thing is the title,
mm-hmm.
which I think this is something that we may seek to work with the Public Service Commission mm-hmm. to have it changed, because they are referred to as production technologists.
Production technologists.
Some of you may not, well, when the late Kajwang died, the comedian, Ojwang.
Yes.
Yeah, Ojwang, sorry. Yeah, people blasted government that it wasn't doing anything for the comedians, but Ojwang was a government employee. We still have the likes of Mama Kayai, who are still government employees. But, well, I know they may be past their retirement age at the moment, but we've also initiated a process with the Public Service Commission, and I think the approval has been granted for us to employ new and young comedians to replace them. So that is something that is happening. Then with regard to the culture TV for the 3 months, yes, that will be there, but beyond the 3 months, we don't intend to kill it. It is a platform that will serve the industry. So it will be run from the Department of Culture, and we have so many cultural programs, festivals in this country that take place on a monthly basis. We participate in regional festivals. We participate in international festivals. So to me, I think we have sufficient content to run the station.
I think one of the questions was, is there opportunity for collaboration with other content creators like the comedians for them to continually give content to the station?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
All right, I will take a question from, I think that's Steven Derito, and then we'll take a question there. But go ahead, Steve.
Again, Steve Derito, representing the Photographers Association of Kenya. This opportunity has brought photographers and other creatives on the same table with the Department of Culture. So 3 things I think initially we want to take as we respond to COVID-19. One, photographers in this country have faced endless harassment and suffering trying to carry out their work in public spaces, something which we believe is fundamentally flawed. Of course, we suffer corruption issues with local authorities and law enforcement, but we want to take this opportunity because some of the projects we may undertake in this stimulus program will require us to go into public spaces, which in other countries and developed economies do not restrict photographers. And I want to request tangible response from your department, tangible response. It doesn't have to be now or Monday, but we would want to follow through this to make sure that this comes to an end. I'm talking about Nairobi streets, I'm talking about other urban places in other parts of the country so that we can have good content as a body of photographers. Number 2, we love the museum. I mean, it has given us, even as photographers, our last Photography Awards event was held at the museum, and they have supported us. But we would want, again, tangible response as photographers and other visual artists to be able to showcase our work in the streets. The culture has changed. People are going virtual on one end, and art is also going to the streets. So we want to come and exhibit our photographs in the streets of Nairobi and in other urban places. Again, I know this will not happen tomorrow or on Monday, but we would really, really want a tangible response and a follow-through for that, so that we can take our art in the street and exhibit our pictures for a week on the streets of Nairobi, not just at the museum. Go to archives, go to Kencom, go to Westlands, go to Nairobi West, go to Mombasa, go to Uhuru Park, and other such places. So how do you think you can respond to that? Some of the answers, you can have them now, but also how we can follow it up.
All right, thank you, Steve. I think a lot of those questions are about access. Bwana Director.
Well, I think I welcome those proposals. As somebody who has also traveled broadly, I know that public spaces in other countries are freely accessible to artists. I may not give you, and I think I may not give you an answer right now or Monday, but I'm glad that our Director of Administration is also here in this forum. I think it is something that we will take up with the Nairobi City County first, and then perhaps once we conclude the discussions, then we'll get back to you. So for that, I'll say give us time. The Director of Administration is here, but we'll pursue them.
All right, I'll take the last question. I think I saw a hand there. I'll take a last question and then we can close.
My name is
Boxer.
Mic
So,
check.
we can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Aboksan Aila. I'm from Kisumu. First of all, I would like to appreciate the President of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, for the 100 million that he allocated for the artist. And the CS, Amina Abdallah, just the other day, she said like they are trying to see, or they are hoping to reach 20,000 artists in Kenya. So that means let's assume 20,000 or 1 million divided by 20,000, that's like 5,000 Kenya shillings approximately, which is allocated for the artists in Kenya. But now, that 5,000 shillings given to an artist from Mashinani, it's really going to help him or her way much, like in a very big way. But what is the plan for the government? Is that how are they going to give out this money to the Mashinani, or how are they going to reach the Mashinani artist? Thank you.
All right. I think the question really is, how do you make sure that you reach the most, the people who have not gotten the limelight yet, the people who are really in the Mashinani, because, the amounts might be even more significant for them than for some of the bigger artists.
The Cabinet Secretary has spoken to this on a number of occasions, and the intention is to reach some of the most vulnerable artists. There is a criteria that has been developed by the different departments and sagas, and it is our intention to ensure that if you are an artist and you're operating in the grassroots, we are able to reach you. The associations will also help us do that, and we won't expect you to come to Nairobi to pick your check, but we will use M-Pesa and any other, mainly M-Pesa, to reach out to the artists to ensure that we don't have any other brokers in between, as it happened with some other initiatives before. So we are committed to ensure that we reach out directly to you and the money disbursed gets to you.
Dr. Kiprop, I have a question that was sent by an industry player that, I don't know whether it sits in your docket, but I'm going to ask it, and you can give me guidance, or give the industry player some guidance. So it starts with a statement: when will the Section 35 of the Copyright Amendment Act 2019 be operationalized via an agreed framework between the industry versus ICT and creative? I guess the creative is why you're in this conversation. The person asserts that this will unlock 10 billion per annum of sales, and not in royalties, but I think it has something to do with piracy and the state of piracy in the country. And he asks, can both ministries please convene a task force of industry leaders via KEPSA to quickly reach an agreement on the immediate operationalization of Section 35 to cushion the creative industry further and ensure a strong recovery?
I'll admit that that is a question that I may not be able to answer right away.
Okay.
Because issues of copyright are domiciled within the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth.
Yes.
However, because we largely belong to the same industry, the executive director of Kekobo, Bonasige, is a person I can easily reach.
Okay.
So what I intend to do is that I will reach out to him, then in the course of next week, give you feedback,
Okay.
which can then be communicated through the channels that are available.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for very eloquently and intentionally answering each of the questions that we've asked and the information that you've given to the public and to us about this project. We look forward to even more collaboration with the Department of Culture. Thank you for creating this platform that we are using today, Culture TV. And we really want, let me speak on behalf of the industry, because I'm a beneficiary of the industry, and say that we are happy with where the government has placed the industry now, and we can't wait to see more initiatives that bring it more to the limelight, and we're grateful to have a man like you leading this department. Asante Bwana Lagat.
Karibu sana, and it was a pleasure speaking to you.
All right.
Asante.
Thank you very much for watching Culture TV today. This week we have broken down each and every of the different departments and semi-autonomous government agencies that are implementing this 100 million stimulus program. Now, next week, we will share with you all the call-outs that will be done by the different departments. You'll be able to see, to get all those call-outs from our different properties on Culture TV. But we will also be having conversations about the creative economy. We'll be talking about how you can monetize your art, your industry, how you can make more money outside of this stimulus program as part of the capacity building process of Culture TV. And we've also said that in the coming days that part of the time that we have on Culture TV will be given to this content that we start to produce as part of the stimulus program. I suggest you put notifications on, you subscribe to these channels, and you stay ready to get this information so that you're not left behind and you're saying, we didn't see the call-outs and the time has been cut off already. We look forward to seeing you on Monday, but all the content for this week is already available. Listen to what each and every one of these people has said so that you can prepare yourself and make yourself ready to receive a portion of this stimulus program. God bless you and have a good weekend. Stay safe, wash your hands, maintain social distancing, and wear masks when you are in public. Asanteni.
Cheers.